The third intent, set your course. I begin the creative process. I give direction to my life. I set my course.
I was in Mount Shasta a while back, it was a couple years ago, and had gone there to set up an intenders circle. We were in a bookstore there, and it was a wonderful evening, and they did start a circle, and the place was so beautiful that my friend and I, we decided to stay on and camp for a few days with the magnificent mountain looming before us. And the only problem is that we couldn't find a place to camp, because this was in August and it was the height of the tourist season, and all the motel and hotel rooms were booked at that time. And the only place we found was a campground about 8 miles out of Shasta town. And we got the last spot there. And the only drawback to this particular campground was that it had no bathing facilities. So you would see everybody lined up along the river in the morning, and with a gallon jug or a container of some sort, and dipping it in the water of the Sacramento River there, which comes out, this is where the source of the Sacramento River is at Mount Shasta, and they'd all be crouched down and with swimming trunks on or something like that, pouring it over their heads, cussing and hopping and muttering the whole time, because the water is ice cold. And again, I'm a Hawaii boy. I'm used to warm water, so, but those were the bathing arrangements. And I'd been there about 4 days, and one afternoon was sitting there with a group of strangers with a couple of picnic tables butted up against each other, just meeting with friends, drinking sodas and talking with people from all over the country. And I remember that particular day. It was one of the hottest days on record in Mount Shasta, and the camp manager had a thermometer on his shack there, and it said it was 108 degrees. So what with the bathing arrangements the way they were, and the heat, everybody was sweating profusely. You didn't want to be sitting downwind of anybody. And so sure enough, I just blurted out, I said, well, I intend that I have a hot shower and get clean now. And they all looked at me like I was crazy, because the nearest showers were 8 miles away. And even then, you'd have to rent a motel room. There weren't any, you know, so it wasn't even a feasible solution at all. So we let it go, and it was no more than 10 minutes later, a deer comes scampering through the woods. Again, I'm a Hawaii boy. I'd never seen a deer before. There are no deer in Hawaii. So I'm up and chasing after this deer, and I find myself, all I see is this little white tail bound through the brush and gone. About a 10-second look at the deer. And I'm in a clearing about 15 feet away from where the people are sitting at the picnic tables. And I can see them, and they can see me over the top of the bushes there. And in this clearing is a single tree about this big around. And on the backside of this tree is a broken off branch, about a foot and a half long, hanging up about, arm's height above my head. And hanging on that branch is one of those black plastic solar shower bags left there by a previous camper, which I took off the branch and walked back to the picnic table. So, and the long and short of the story is that by sunset we all had a hot shower and got clean, and they weren't looking at me like I was so crazy anymore. So what I'm suggesting to you is that the time is coming when you will have a thought, and it will be there. And that these times we're going through, there's an acceleration going on. And you all know it. That something's speeding up. And one of the things we've noticed in the intenders is that the time between the time you make an intention and it manifests is getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So it's wise for us to begin to hold our attention on the thoughts that serve us and discard the ones that don't. And that's the name of the game on planet Earth nowadays, because we're all realizing that our thoughts create our world. That was the first reference point with which we started the intenders, that our thoughts have power, that our thoughts create our world. And so it's just wise for us to be a little more vigilant of what we're thinking as well as what we're saying, because our words are the reflections of our thoughts. And it really helps if you've got a group of like-minded and light-hearted friends who are also staying awake and aware to that. Because especially if you're in a couple or if you're in a relationship of any kind, and if one person falls asleep to it and starts saying something that they wouldn't want to manifest in a jillion years, that the other one goes, hey, you know, you might not want to say that way because it's not going to give you the results you're looking for. So it helps if you've got a loving partner or a group of friends who are also staying awake to that, because the more of us who stay awake to that, the more we are able to actually create the world that we came here to create, to birth a new world. Not only individually for ourselves, but for our fellow travelers en masse. So, you know, when we started these circles, we watched our friends manifest so many things, and really there's no rule of thumb as to what you can intend. You can intend everything from a new fridge to world peace. And we recommend that you do both. That you intend the world peace and the sublime qualities of life, as well as the cars and relationships and jobs and all of those things. One of the things we have learned after sitting in hundreds of intenders circles and listening to thousands of people make and manifest their intentions since we started these circles over 15 years ago, long before The Secret ever even thought about coming out. We realized that those who get up in the morning and set a direction unto their day have an entirely different experience than those who do not. Everything comes easier for them. They get the things they want in life. They get the results they're looking for. And it really doesn't matter if you call it your intentions or your prayers or your affirmations. The main thing is that you do it. I get up in the morning and I say my intentions in the shower. I say I intend that I am happy, and I intend that I am in excellent health. And if I needed a new Toyota, I'd intend a new Toyota. And so we've seen sort of a wide variety of intentions made over the years, because people start with the Toyotas and the fridges, and so we did. You know, you start with the mundane things in life, and you go to the relationships, and then from there you go to you know, the inner qualities. I intend that I am more compassionate, more helpful, more allowing, more kind, more loving, more forgiving. The inner qualities, more patient. And from there you go to intending that we went helping the Earth Mother, helping Mother Earth, intending that Mother Earth is living in her highest light, and that the air is clean and the water is pure, and all the rest of humanity is living in total and complete fulfillment. And we went from there to even our own inner qualities on a higher level. We asked and we intended that our higher selves blossom. And before we were done, our higher selves were blossoming all over the place, because Li Ching helped us in many ways. He helped open us up and to our creativity. And I remember Li Ching told me, he said one night, he said, "You're going to write books." I said, "No possible way." And then those famous words came out again. "You'll see." What are there, 5 or so books now, and now this is our second video. So those of you who are interested in learning how to do this process, we refer you to the Little Intender's Handbook and also to the website at www.intenders.com, and to our first video, which will show you how to do an actual Intender Circle. It's called the Intention Process video, and you can get all of this off of the website. We started with fridges and things, and we ended up with the more sublime. Start with the mundane and move your way up. And there are no rules, so you might as well do them all. Since there's no limit on what you can think, there's no limit on what you can intend, literally. I was in Albuquerque. I lived in Corrales, New Mexico for a while, and had a fellow come to my doorstep one night, and his name was Ralph, and he had been writing a book about the laws of manifestation and interviewing people, and he'd ran across the Little Intender's Handbook and looked me up. And Ralph interviewed quite a few people about these, and he'd made what he called a progression of power, a series of 6 steps or stages we go through as we step into our empowerment. And so I'd like to share those with you now. And the first step or stage is testing. You just make an intention, you test it, and you'll see you'll get a win right away. Especially if you line that intention up with the highest good. Because our guides told us all along that there are invisible helpers. We are coming in contact with the invisible realms more and more nowadays. That there are other dimensions and other worlds all around us. And that these invisible helpers, they rally to the sides of those who openly say that they stand for the highest good. And they see to it that your first few intentions are manifested unmistakably, so you can't miss it. So we say go for it. Test it, you'll see, you'll get a win. Test it again, you'll get another win. You'll see that the law of attraction, the laws of manifestation do in fact work. And that'll take you to the second step that Ralph called trusting. Trust, because after you've seen it work a few times, you begin to build up trust in this process. And what are you exactly trusting in? You're trusting that your thoughts do create your world. And your intentions will manifest as you direct them. And again, for me, it has to do with trusting that there are helpers, that there is guidance available from other realms who will rally to our side if we but call them forth. And my guidance has told me to emblazon 3 little letters upon my consciousness. A-S-K. Just ask, and we'll be helped. So, and that builds trust, which takes us to the third step that Ralph called confidence. You begin to get confident with it. Now you use it in times when maybe you wouldn't have used it previously. You get confident with this process, using it more and more, which takes you to the fourth step, which he called a knowing. And after a while, you just know. You know. Your intentions are going to manifest for you. You just know it. You become a knower. That's a big leap, actually. But there are several in this room right here who are right at that place. And that takes you to the fifth step, which Ralph called courage. Now you use this process, this intention process, courageously. Maybe previously you'd be intimidated thinking, well, what are people going to say if they find out I'm getting empowered? Use it anyway. Just do it. No holes barred. Just using this process. Which takes you to the sixth step, which Ralph called fortitude. You become like a rock, like the impenetrable castle atop the mountain. Lord over all you survey, master of all you survey, able to manifest at will. And everyone here and everyone watching this video is in one of those 6 steps, those 6 stages, working their way toward the top of the mountain. As we all step into our power. Indeed, we have abdicated our place upon the throne of our own power by buying into the limitations and the illusions and the identifications and so forth that we've been taught since we were little children. But now that these times are upon us, these times of great change, these times that we came here to take part in, why we are in fact rising to the occasion, stepping into our power, and bringing not only ourselves, but our fellow travelers, our brothers and sisters up with us. So be it.
So it is.